Let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch. We're in the second week of February. We're looking at the releases from the 10th until the 14th. As always, we're taking a look at all the physical retail releases, all the low print games up for order, some juicy inputs, and our community spotlight where you show off your pickups. Remember, if you want to support this little series, leave us a comment with what you are playing in your backlog and what is the most recent addition to your collection. Personally, I finally managed to snag Kemco RPG Collection Volume 1, the Japanese release. Odd that I could find the Japanese release, but I can't find the Asian release anywhere at the minute, but I'm still on the hunt. Anyways, this is a collection of 4 budget JRPGs. In this one we have Antiquia Lost as Divine Hearts, Dragon Sinker and Revenant Saga, which is the one that I've actually started playing first, which is really quite basic as expected, but you know what, it has its charm and I really like the music that I've heard so far. Don't worry, I'm not expecting anything mind-blowing from these games, I just love a good quirky release like this one. This release does have English, by the way, and has 4 separate home screen icons for each game. If you fancy this yourself, then links are below in the description and pinned comment. Anyways, let's get on with this week's physicals. Black Future 80 is a synth-punk roguelike 2D action shooter that released digitally on the Switch a while ago. I remember Juan reviewed this one for the channel and found it a very solid release with praise for its weapons and its awesome audio design. Find out more info for this one in his review, it's definitely worth a look. Also, this is for the European version, I'm not entirely sure about a North American release this week. Darksiders Genesis is the latest game in the Darksiders universe, this time from a top-down perspective in more of a hack-and-slash gameplay style. It was released on PC late last year, but now is coming to consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. You have 2 characters which can be switched between at any time, but it also means that it's a game ripe for some co-op action goodness. There is a standard edition as well as a couple of limited collector's edition things. There's a cheaper collector's edition which includes a steel book, art book, figurines, soundtrack CD and stickers. Then there is a massively priced one called the Nephilim edition or something, which includes all the previously mentioned content plus a whole board game. I'm not sure how a board game adds 150 quid to the price of something, but there you go. Affiliate links are below if you fancy splashing the cash on that one and supporting us at the same time. Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate is the definitive edition of 2018's base game, a game that I reviewed for the channel. This is a hack-and-slash crossover series including Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors and all sorts of other stuff, and I am a fan of the genre. This expansion includes new characters, story, game modes, and improved gameplay. Personally, I don't see a need for this one myself, but this looks set to be the one to buy for those who missed out on the original base game. Snack World Dungeon Crawl Gold looks set to be a lovely game from the hands of Level 5, one of my favourite game studios. This has been a long time coming since it was released in Japan what seems like forever ago. Hopefully the wait is worth it. It's a roguelike RPG with dungeon crawling, as you may expect from the title, but it seems to have bags of personality to make it stand out from the crowded genre. I'm definitely raring to give this one a go should I ever find some free time. Here is an uncertainty. I mentioned Coffee Crisis before, since it's a game with an almost mythical release date at this point, but it looks like this week could be the week for Coffee Crisis's Switch physical to arrive. Although don't hold me to that, please. Also, a quick mention to AO Tennis 2, which its North American release should be this week if it's not out already. Right, that's it for Western retail. Before we move on, don't forget that if you're new here, hit that subscribe button for all the latest Switch content. Okay, low print games. Limited run games will be putting Forgotten Anne up for order this week. This is a critically acclaimed adventure platformer featuring stunning artwork with anime aesthetics. Such a beautiful game with nice gameplay to back it up. There's a standard edition, but also a collector's edition which is pretty packed. Have some playing cards, postcards, soundtrack CD, art book, and a quill and ink set, all packed in a nice big chest-like box. There's a 2-week pre-order window for the standard edition, which starts on the 14th. Last week, First Press Games, yes, this is the first time that I've heard of them, put up a pre-order for Rival Megagun. It's a shoot-'em-up with a competitive twist, with couch multiplayer or even online modes with your friends. There's a standard version with 3,000 copies available, plus a collector's edition of just 1,500. This includes a premium box, commemorative coin, artbook, board game, soundtrack CD, alternative cover, double-sided poster, and some magazine prints. Sounds loaded. And it's also worth noting that they do have future plans to publish physicals of Mulaka and Psychotic Adventures Origins. Alright, let's delve into the import section, which is equally as scant as last week's. But before that, just a heads up that all the games mentioned here today, if any of them take your fancy, then in the description and the pinned comment, we have affiliate links where you can find them for yourself to purchase. If you purchase any of them using those links, then you will also help out the SwitchWatch team massively, and we very, very much appreciate all your support in this regard. Hatsune Miku Project Diva Mega 39s is the Japanese release of the latest Hatsune Miku game. Well, I'm not an expert, but it seems like it's a compilation of a best of kind of thing, like an anniversary of sorts. It includes 101 songs, 100 of which are from the series' history. There are 3D character models and lots of costumes and game modes that are specific to the Switch. I know this series has a big fan base, even here in the West somewhat, and a Western release is confirmed, but I don't think a physical edition has been announced as of yet. Plus, in this Japanese release, there is no English on the cartridge, sadly. And that's really it in terms of imports this week. Another quiet one, but I do want to point out one thing, something which I wish I'd have been able to include in last week's episode regarding is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon. That received its Asian release last week with English in the cartridge, and I got in touch with the Western publisher P-Cube to ask about their release, and while they said they didn't have much to share in regards to a release date, they did state that they are completely rewriting the English translation due to what they perceived as quality issues with the one that it already had on this Asian release. So a heads up about that, it may take a little bit of waiting for this Western release, but hopefully it will be of a higher standard when it does. Before we jump into the community spotlight, I do need to announce the winner of the $20 eShop voucher that I talked about in my Stranger's Wrath review. I asked you guys to tell me your favorite game in the Oddworld series, and so many of you chimed in, which was nice to see. It was difficult to choose, but I decided to go with Little 7 because their experience basically matches up with mine. I never owned the original, but I did play the demo disc to absolute death. And I have so much nostalgia for that demo disc. I miss demo discs so much. Anyways, Little 7, get in touch with our email, contact us at switchwatch.co.uk and we'll set you up. Okay, let's jump into the community spotlight where you guys send me your photos of your recent pickups or collections. As with the imports, some of these games mentioned here or seen here are imports, so if any of them take your fancy, check the links in the description and pinned comment to find them for yourself. If I mention them, there will be a link below. Help support the SwitchWatch team. First up, we have Night Crusade, who showed off their collection here. Very jealous of that Doraemon Story of Seasons physical in English. I cannot get my hands on that one without paying an extortionate price. I mean, some dude, he was trying to sell them for $100. No way, Jose. And this second picture shows off their recent pickups, some good stuff in there, but I did notice that there were 2 copies of Darkest Dungeon. I know it's a fantastic game, but 2 copies? Now that's a true fan. Vanessa wanted to show off her tokusatsu games that she has in her collection. That's a Japanese term for TV shows that make use of special effects. No, I didn't know that until I googled it either. Think Power Rangers or Super Sentai, that kind of thing basically. She got limited runs Battle for the Grid. The one in the top left is Kamen Rider Climax Scramble. That English cover is quite hard to get a hold of, but the Asian version is more accessible and does have English language options, so it's a decent import if you're into arena brawlers. The one on the left is Nari Kids Park Kaito Sentai Looping Ranger versus Kaisetsu Sentai. I tried my best, guys. Apologies for my pronunciation. I actually don't know a whole lot about this one, but at the time of writing, it's pretty cheap on PlayAsia if you're into Super Sentai stuff. Benny Kong got his pickups for January into one picture. Again, I'm so jealous of Turok 1 and 2. A few of you pointed out that these are available at Best Buy, and some of you even offered to pick them up for me, which was nice of you. But anyways, they also got Busby, Paws on Fire, an interesting choice for a game for sure. And the game with perhaps the least attractive title in history, Bud Spencer, Terence Hill, Slaps and Beans from Strictly Limited. My man Craig, a legend in the comments, contributed with this pickup, which was under $20. That seems to me like a great bargain. I mean, I've really wanted to try Friday the 13th. I used to watch previously recorded gameplays of this with Rich Evans and the bald guy, I forgot his name right now. Sadly, I just know my Chinese internet doesn't mix well with my Switch, so I probably wouldn't get a whole lot of fun out of this one myself. Wolverine Scratch over on Twitter sent me a picture of Travis Strikes Again, lamenting that not too many people talk about this one, which I think is true. It's a game that people were disappointed with initially because it wasn't quite what they were hoping for, but hopefully it can become a bit of an underrated gem in the future. I'm not sure, I haven't played this one myself. Glass Jazz sent in some pictures of these sweet little cartridges, some quality games in there. Got pretty much all the essentials, plus what I assume were the most recent pickups, or they just didn't have enough space in the cartridge case. Well, we have the two D&D double packs. Swizz, a legend in the Discord, showed off some recent arrivals. There's a lovely Earthlock, nice little RPG that was heavily inspired by the likes of Final Fantasy IX, plus Atelier Trilogy. Just a quick update on those. Apparently you don't need to download the DLC. PlayAsia changed their description soon after release. Everything is actually on the cartridge, no download required apparently. Lilith emailed in showing off this lovely Evil Land physical from Super Rare Games. I've heard good things about this one despite not being initially convinced by it, but I have to admire any game that tries to put multiple generations of game styles into one package. That can't be easy work. Plus I do believe this release contains both games in the series. Choco Loco James showed this PlayAsia exclusive collector's edition, a double pack of Onaga and Odalis. Oh my god, my autocorrect changed the first word to onion. So, Onion and Odalis, apparently according to my word processor. As always, you get a nice soundtrack CD with these, and they're never overly expensive, plus they take a while to sell out, so I do have a fondness for PlayAsia's releases. Sadly, this one is sold out, but there are others still available like the Distraint Collection, Ghostblade, and even a couple of Panty Party collector's editions with the underwear still left. By the way, I know at least some of you out there have Panty Party. I know. Own up, guys. Next week, I want to see everyone's Panty Party. Okay, that sounds wrong. But if I don't get at least 2 Panty Parties sent to me next week, I'll be disappointed. Mr. Valgard showed off these 2 editions, Final Fantasy Double Pack, excellent as always, and the 2 Digimon games, which I'm very jealous about. I wish I could get an English language version here in China. Res Final showed off an import bonanza that he got from a recent trip to Japan. Lethal League Blaze is not an import that's talked about often. A cool competitive arcade fighter type. I don't know a whole lot about it personally, but from the trailer it kind of reminds me of Windjammers. Also Zoids, it doesn't have English as far as I'm aware, but it's supposedly simple enough to pick up and play. God of Resin showed off these arrivals. Again, another gigantic army. I'm surprised to see this pop up time and time again. Also, Omega Labyrinth Life, which doesn't appear too often. I can imagine why, but I think it's a fantastic import if you're into dungeon crawlers with English, and a few boobs thrown in for good measure. Highly recommend you check out my review of that one. Nintendo Gamer Gal showed off her massive collection. That big box of Valkyria Chronicles 4 looks epic. I had no idea it was so big. And there's a bunch of great titles in there. I zoomed in, scanned through them all, really top stuff. Chris Hepburn got this limited run arrival, well it was distributed by them anyways, Mary Skelter 2. If you're into games like Soul Hackers, first person dungeon crawling, then this is a good one. Shame the Asian release doesn't have English, or I would have got this myself. Nice artwork. Survivor showed off these editions, €20 each apparently, and I would say that is one sweet deal for such amount of quality. Park Ranger showed off these editions, another Slaps and Beans, sorry I just can't get over that name, genius. Blazing Chrome from Limited Run, if you're looking for a Contra-like game, you need this one, and Ghostblade HD, the shooter from PlayAsia. I believe some copies are still available if you fancy it, links are below. And finally, Bender showed off a couple of collector's editions, both from Special Reserve Games, Gris and The Messenger, both lovely stuff, looks quality. Also, there were some guys in the Discord showing off all their collections and stuff like that from a few regulars, and I'm not going to talk about all them all because we're running out of time, and the pictures here pretty much speak for themselves. Let's have a gander. Thanks ladies and gents, really appreciate you sending in your pictures. If you want to send in your recent additions, either 1 game, either 5 games, or 20 games, it doesn't matter because it's not a competition. Send it to me on Twitter over at SoWhatAboutGame. Please DM me so I can keep track of it. Or you can send it via email at contactus@switchwatch.co.uk. Just make sure you start the email title with Community Spotlight so that I don't miss it. Plus, we have a Discord, which is a nice way for us to chat with you guys. We try to be active on there as much as possible, and it's always great talking with you, having a chat and stuff like that. Send us your pictures there. Links to the Discord are in the description and pinned comment right at the bottom. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's new physicals. What has taken your fancy this week? Be sure to let us know. And check out last week's episode in case you missed it. Check out Juan's review of Kunai, a great Metroidvania, maybe something you'll fancy. Also James's bargains video, telling you all the best places to spend your money in the cheapest way possible. Thanks very much. We'll see you guys over there. Take care.